Today, ChillPoint is back, so I hope you did your homework. This is ChillPoint. Yeah, that's right. ChillPoint. You know that thing where like your, it's like the last little bit of school before vacation,
Right?
And you kind of get out of the habit of doing homework, and then you come back and the teacher's like, "Well, here's all the stuff you got to do," and you're like, "What? Work at home? Oh, right, that's the thing that I had to do before."
Work at home. It is
the important pre-show of ChillPoint, which, by the way, we talked. We've talked about in the episode of ChillPoint and also various other places. This episode of ChillPoint will be on our new LRR gaming channel.
Yeah.
YouTube.com/LRRVG.
The URL's kicked in.
Yeah.
You can find it easily now.
So that's super nice. We probably unfortunately the logistics in YouTube of like transporting a bunch of stuff from one channel to another makes it so that we probably won't be like moving old stuff over. But going forward, we will be doing ChillPoint and ChillPoint will be living together in harmony on the LRRVG channel. So that's super fun. And so we were happy. As a behind the scenes thing, we took June off for a variety of reasons. And when we did, we intended to come back. We said that we would be coming back in July.
Yeah.
Which we fully intended to do. And then we were about to come back in July, and we were like, the channel split thing is going to happen like next week.
Yeah.
So rather than having one episode of ChillPoint on the old thing and then moving it over, why don't we just come back once the split has happened?
Yeah.
And it'll be fine.
It's kind of, and it's like, when you think about it, it's like, does it ultimately matter? It's like, well, it kind of felt like we had a big, it's returned and there's a reason to do a thing. And it's like, sometimes you need to celebrate a victory by being like, we're doing this and this is going to be part of it. And it kind of felt good to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lurvige?
Yeah, Lurvige. No, please.
I don't know if I like that. No.
Lurvig.
Lurvig.
I like Lurt.
Lurt?
Lurt is really funny.
Lurt and Lurvige.
Just a heads up to people is that the ChillPoint mug, there are 55 of these left.
We used to have more than that.
We used to have I think we might have ordered around 1,000 in the initial days. I'm not entirely certain because I wasn't here when that decision was made. But I know at one point we had over 500, and that was at the beginning of the pandemic. So you guys have been great.
Yay!
at buying these. I appreciate it. And in case anybody cares, RoadQuest water bottles, this style of bottle, but not this printing, obviously. RoadQuest water bottles are back in stock.
Ooh.
And it is the last time they will be back in stock. And I've said that before, but actually literally I will be unable to find them anymore.
Contigo no longer makes bottles in that particular design.
I think, the Kangaroo is they're going to get rid of it. They have some other designs that they're coming out with. And Contigo is also they're under new management.
And they're not supplying stuff for custom printing anymore.
Correct. They will be doing it all in-house, apparently, and I have no idea if we'll even do that. So if you want a RoadQuest water bottle, by all means, go nuts with that. And plus, because they're all Kangaroo bottles, if you have a Desert Bus bottle as well, you can mix and match the pockets. You can I put my picture on the inside of mine so I know which one mine is. The lids mix and match too. So feel free to play with that, especially if you have one that's broken.
They don't all come with a picture of beige on the inside.
No, those were if you were backing us on the Patreon, patreon.com/loadingreadyrun. You would have, I believe we were sending out all the Lursona 5 sticker sets to people in that way. So is there anything else I needed to mention about the merch that was interesting? That's probably enough. If I come up with something at the end of the store, I'll think about it. That's all stored at loadingreadyrun.com.
So, welcome to ChillPoint, which, by the way, is of the official. We've gone back and forth about like ChillPoint, Checkpoint Plus. I guess the intro still says Checkpoint. As part of the channel split, we were definitely like ChillPoint was originally it was like when we're not doing.
Yeah, it's like,
when
oh
we don't
crap,
have time,
we
don't
can't
have time
do it because people are out of town or people are sick, and yeah.
So we'll do ChillPoint instead.
Yeah.
And then we did Checkpoint Plus, which was recording the episode live and then after show.
Yeah.
And then ChillPoint is sort of just the after show without the actual recording the episode part. And so we were unclear as to whether to call that Checkpoint Plus still or just ChillPoint.
Yeah.
And then during the pandemic, we started just doing ChillPoint as its own show, regardless of whether Checkpoint was happening or not.
Yeah.
And we kind of liked that. And we liked doing that form of it with, Checkpoint. It's faster to record Checkpoint when we're not doing it live. We can stop and start better and do all sorts of stuff like that. So recording Checkpoint not live and then Heather edits it and then we put it up works really well. And then we have got the ChillPoint for the after show sort of part. So I don't know if it was clear before, but at least now we're trying to codify.
Yeah, that there is Checkpoint and there is ChillPoint.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's talk about Checkpoint. And so this is, for those of you who don't know, this is the show where we talk about video game news and also talk about the episode of Checkpoint, because we now have an episode of Checkpoint to talk about, giving you a little bit more background info on the stories that we talked about on Checkpoint and talking about some of the stories that didn't make the cut for the episode of Checkpoint. Not necessarily because they weren't newsworthy, mostly because usually it's just because we couldn't think of a funny joke for it.
Yeah.
Or we already thought of jokes. I mean, this particular episode of Checkpoint is 6 stories.
Yep.
Which is a little longer than we normally do. Although one of those stories is about how June has nothing interesting going on.
Yeah. And 3 of those stories are just Beej was in a stream of consciousness moment and decided, whatever, guys, let's get real weird. Who cares what I'm talking about?
The Sonic one isn't too weird.
Mm-hmm. That's real analysis. Mm-hmm. Thanks, Sam Matchkovich. Matchkovich? Thanks, Sam M. from Ars Technica, for doing a lot of that heavy lifting.
Shout out to Ars Technica in general. They're
Yeah.
one of the excellent places where I get my my stories. They tend to Ars Technica, like there's various levels, I would say, of video game reporting.
Mm-hmm.
That are usually in like the speed in which they report about a story is diametric, like is opposed to the goodness of the actual reporting.
Yeah.
So I've got some feeds that are just like the
reaction. It's like this thing's happening.
The fire hose, or they're just like
Yeah.
reposting the press releases and stuff. Whereas Ars Technica will often take, sometimes their take on a particular story will come out like the next day or something.
Yeah.
But it will actually be like researched and have quotes from people and be like a good
journalism.
coverage,
Yeah.
a good coverage of that story. Anyway.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, never read into anything that I do on Checkpoint as a story as meaning that, this must be what Beej does in his real life. Never do that. That is not appropriate. I might not play a character, but I kind of play a character.
Yeah.
So
follow what Beej.
There's a difference between theory and practice. Let's just say that, okay?
Yeah. I was gonna say but I was gonna say what you do, not what you say.
Yeah.
But you also don't do so.
Don't do much.
Don't follow either of what Beej says or does.
Yeah.
But anyway. So yeah, talking about June, mostly making fun of the mentioning about how all there's all these different video game events, which of course
Lots.
we've been talking about on ChillPoint, and the Square Enix. Everything has to be related to Final Fantasy VII somehow. And Activision Blizzard, they investigated themselves and found out that not only are they not responsible for the wait, what is it? Gendered
Did they say
harassment?
They did say-
Gender harassment.
Yeah.
The board of directors and the management, didn't have they after investigating themselves thoroughly, they decided that they did not do anything wrong there.
Sorry, I got a phone call.
And then also they decided that there was an unrelenting barrage of media criticism that made them sad. Which, I mean, you never talk about like a relenting barrage, like a little bit of media criticism. Like, I mean, as a very, very small part of that barrage of media criticism, I guess, it is odd to, it's odd to be like, there's sort of like, it wouldn't be that the fact that everyone is dumping on Activision Blizzard because of these, what they call, isolated incidents of gendered harassment. The fact that everyone's dumping on them for that is affecting, is in itself like they're being harassed.
Yeah, like hey.
it's like making, it's like a disproportionate amount of thing, which
It's so unfair that you're doing that to us. It's like, that's right. That's
there's like, speaking of different websites, I'm trying to remember which site it is. I think it's Game Informer. That any article about anything Activision Blizzard does starts with a paragraph, a copy and pasted paragraph that they put on every article about Activision Blizzard. It just starts with this paragraph that's like, it has to be kept in mind that Activision Blizzard has, is currently having, lawsuits. I forget what the whole text of it is, but there's this like copy and pasted paragraph they put at the top of any article involving Activision Blizzard, basically calling them out.
Is it in like, it's not in a banner kind of thing?
No, it's just part of the thing.
Great, I'm glad. Yeah, because that
Although
leads to banner blindness,
once you have read a lot of stories on the website, I do find that I jump to the second paragraph because I know what the first one is.
Yeah, but it's a little disingenuous to be like, hey, we have all the power and we think you're being unfair to us. It's like,
yeah.
Rough. Yeah, you're the ones who are suffering. I see. Like, it's, you don't want to do that thing where you're like, oh well, just because someone is suffering and somebody else is suffering, somebody's suffering means more than somebody else's. It's like, that is kind of a false equivalence. But in some cases, also, it's a real, it's like, hey, yeah, you know what? Their suffering is a lot more important than what you are perceiving to be suffering in this case, my dude. So I don't feel too bad for you. I'm not even going to say, I'm sorry I don't feel too bad for you, because I just don't feel too bad for you.
And if people reporting on what you're doing makes you feel so bad and makes people mad at you, then that is probably an indication that what you're doing is not so good.
Yeah. It's
if people sort of explicitly telling and being clear about what you have been accused of, makes you feels like they're harassing you.
There is a real sense that shame is no longer a viable method of social control.
Like, Yeah, yeah.
And it's like, in some cases it's like, well, the kind of idea of like, if you pee your bed as like a 7-year-old, right, and your parents like wash the sheets and they put them out to dry, but they only wash the middle part, so it's like, you feel shamed because of that. But they're probably not doing that. I hope your parents are not doing that to basically advertise the neighborhood, hey, look, so and so peed their bed last night, and we want them to be shamed publicly as a result of it. Like that's a different kind of shame, obviously. So in some cases, like, but you obviously feel bad. You want to cover that kind of thing up. But when you as a billion-dollar company piss the bed, having somebody throw your sheets out and be like, look, this company's pissed the bed, it's like, that's actually valuable, right? That should be valuable, that you should feel kind of shamed. You should feel like you can't, I really do feel like you shouldn't feel like you can walk into a restaurant and sit down without somebody being like, oh, it's that fucker. Like somebody giving you the stink eye. You should have to kind of deal with that until you, I don't know, stop pissing the bed. But, I mean, we should hold adults to that standard, really, right?
I feel like that metaphor may have gotten away from you a little bit.
Just a tiny bit. Just the littlest bit, but yeah. People are here for my terrible takes. We've established that. I said that in the previous episode, so.
Speaking of which, here's the story about Sonic's 30th anniversary, which is currently happening. And
Right.
this is specifically about Sonic Origins. Which is the bundle game that's Sonic 1, 2, 3, and Knuckles. And Sonic CD too, I think maybe?
It is, yeah. It's Sonic CD, yeah.
And it's apparently... There's 2 levels of, like... It's got some, like, serious glitchiness to it.
Yeah, which I didn't really cover.
Yeah. That... the video that we showed actually... at the beginning of the episode of Checkpoint, where it's like Sonic like finishes the level and the level just disappears and they fall. That's from a compilation that somebody made of like 10 minutes of Sonic Origins glitches. But then on top of that, like, or separate from the glitches, there's also just like a bunch of just unfortunate stuff, sprites not scaled correctly.
Yeah.
Music. I mean, there's the thing with like the music is different in some places because the licensing or something.
Mm-hmm.
And a bunch of stuff that for people who, as you say in the article or in the story, are big Sonic fans.
Yeah.
Are like, hey, that's different and not good.
Yeah.
And so some people have or made a mod called Better Origins.
Yeah. Or
to fix a bunch of stuff.
They did make this mod.
But it got to the point where they kind of ran into... So they fixed a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
Renamed a bunch of the files, got new sprites in certain cases, fixed a bunch of things, made it a better game. But they hit a brick wall on fixing some of the more egregious things.
Yeah, because some patches you would need scripting support for, and the game just has a hard nope on you being able to script things to change stuff within the game.
Yeah, or at least the system that it uses is not compatible. And so, and basically, it feels like as they got deeper and deeper into like looking at the files of this thing, they were just like, and the guy says, it's a fucking shit show. Absolute shit show.
This game is absolute shit, yeah.
Yeah, absolute shit. It has become clear that this game is absolute shit. And they, he later walked that back and said that was sort of frustration and.
But in doing that, Zanman P and the 2 other people, they took the mod offline.
Right.
And
they actually.
Yeah, and it was just kind of ours sums it up as they left the thing with screw this game. That's kind of like, I think if you go look at it now, it even says just screw this game because there's just no mod for it. Mm. And it's just like, I get that idea of if you've been working towards doing a mod and you're mad about all the things that are wrong and you're like, I'm going to fix those things, and you just kind of get ground into a paste. You're like, I can't. And
there is also, of course, the interaction between the interaction between like mod makers who are primarily doing it out of love of the game and their interest in it. And of course the community, which can, once you start releasing stuff like that, can get demanding.
Yeah,
And be like, you fix this thing, but what about this other thing?
Yeah, my pet issue, yeah.
And to the point, and so very reasonably, excuse me, very reasonably saying, it's like it became not fun.
Yeah.
And you know what? If you're not being paid for it, when it becomes not fun, you can just stop.
Yeah, really, it's true. You can always find a different way to enjoy your hobby. It's, So, I mean, ultimately, who knows, right? Maybe it seems like at this point, a lot of people have felt that Origins that's kind of it. It's just like, this thing has come out. There's been no communication on hey, we're going to go back and patch anything officially.
Yeah, and the thing I think that's really frustrating for people is that it's, in a lot of ways, like, this isn't the only time they've released some of these Sonic games.
Yes.
And somehow Origins is, like, worse.
Yeah.
Than previous re-releases. And it's like, why didn't they why are they going backwards?
Yeah, and if you're losing, like, if stores are now removing, or rather, I shouldn't say stores are removing, but if Sega is removing access to the older games in order to an idea to push Origins forward, it's like, oh no. Because that begs the question, correct me if I'm wrong in using that terminology, but that kind of begs the question, does that mean that this is the version that Sega wants you to see? Where everything's all fucked up and weird?
I mean, I guess.
I guess, because it's like, if you're taking away the individual ones where it's like everything was working fine, and then you say, but this is Origins, this is the definitive version of the game we want you to see, because we don't want you to see the other ones. It is almost like saying, we want you to see how this game is terrible, and how it is nigh unplayable in some cases, or it's completely unpredictable. It's like, that can't be you putting your best foot forward. Now, Foxmar said Sega's already announced a patch. Cool. If a series of patches comes out that fixes the game, then great, because I think they need to do that. And then what does that mean for other things past that, right? But why also did this get released in such a bad state?
Well, and there was some info about that also in the same article, that other people who were on the development team for it have come forward and said basically, like, it was behind the scenes, there was some serious issues in terms of not giving the time for QA that they should have.
Ah, okay. Oh well. So maybe sit on your eventual purchase of Sonic Origins as a way to celebrate the 30th anniversary, I guess. Maybe wait until next year when it'll be his 30th anniversary.
Yeah. Turning 30 for the 5th time this year. GameStop has launched their NFT. GameStop launched their NFT thing.
Victory.
Good job, guys. I love the article on Ars Technica about this is great because, they've made 45,000, something like 45,000. Yeah, in the first 24 hours.
Yeah.
Which is assuming that continued on for the rest of the year, for a company the size of GameStop, with all their brick and mortar stuff and things, is like, 1 or 2% of their revenue. It's not
pennies on the dollar. Yeah.
And considering what I think we can agree the hit to their, I mean, maybe they didn't have a good reputation anyway.
Yeah,
it's hard to say they took a hit to their reputation when everyone was like, "Who are these people? Why do they still exist?"
Yeah.
But it's not great, and then also the sort of side aspect of it's like this NFT marketplace is doing very poorly. It is also like the 3rd biggest NFT marketplace in the world now. Yeah, because it's just the marketplace is doing poorly.
Yeah. What does that say in terms of the overall? Yeah. I really feel like Graham, though, summed up a lot of the overall sense of what goes on in here. I don't know what else I can add to be like, this was always a bad idea, but hey, leave it to GameStop to kind of come at it so late that they.
And the one thing, I want to make clear because that the Meta Boy, so there's a bunch of a bunch of NFTs are currently on for sale, although not as many as you might think, because a lot of them are like there but not for sale. Anyway, this Meta Boy collection, which is all these animated GIFs of this little dude running, is like the fact that like that's the most popular thing on the system, and the one that's 6969 is the most is selling really well,
At
or
69
at least
Ethereum, yeah.
or they're trying to sell it for 69 Ethereum.
Oh, they haven't actually sold. They just have it priced at that because they're like, hey,
No.
it's the sex number. It's nice,
Yeah. I feel like the amount of transactions of maybe a certain amount of people are buying things in a speculative fashion.
Yeah, that's literally.
But
what...
then, but it's like, but then I feel like the number of I'd be curious to see like in say a week or 2 weeks, not just the number of people who have bought things, but the number of times each individual item has changed hands.
Yeah,
because I would suspect a lot of them are not going to be changing hands.
No,
there's going to be a lot of people who just like bought a thing and then they just have it.
Yeah, because
nobody else wants it.
Yeah, there's that sense of well, I have to hold an investment for a long time to make money off of it, which is like that's good investing practice. You just picked the wrong target.
Yeah.
Okay, in a larger context, do we care if GameStop fails as a company at this point?
I mean, I personally don't really.
I won't want to say for does the company care, but it's kind of like, but personally, I mean, like, I don't know if it would affect me much if GameStop went away.
I mean, I used to use Electronics Boutique / GameStop a lot.
Yeah.
We went there all the time when we were doing Unskippable, and they were, I hardly ever purchase physical games anymore. I know you and Heather do, but
then we buy them online from like Amazon, and we try to buy them from Best Buy because it's a little bit better than Amazon, or Videogames Plus in Quebec is apparently like a good indie place to get stuff, but they do come out a little bit expensive. But yeah,
I mean, they everyone has complained, and they've long had the like, if nobody pre-orders a game, we just don't bring it in.
Yeah.
Policies or like the big. I remember I laughed so hard the first time I saw the like racks of physical cards for you to buy to get digital points.
Yeah.
And it's like this is or even, I mean, now you can't even buy. There's racks in GameStop that you buy a card that has the download code for the game.
Yeah.
So you're buying the digital version of the game. So it's like, I feel like GameStop is like a lot of has been relegated to like people who don't want to put their credit card into, like, you just want, it's more like a form of payment. It's just like a convenient payment system as opposed to an actual like store that you would go to.
Yeah, it's like, and I feel like we have a game store in town called Epic Games that we have been to a few times. Didn't we film an Epic Games?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, we shot part of the last 64K video in their old location.
Yeah.
And I like Epic. And I even said to Heather, I'm like, do they have like a comic book store style thing? Like you can have a folder and be like, look, there's these games that are supposed to come out at these times, so put me on your pre-order list, and when these things come in, let me know. I'll come in and pick them up and pay for them, kind of idea. It's like if that kind of idea existed where you can have a relationship with your video game provider in that kind of way, because we're buying a lot of video games at home, it feels like. So
yeah, I mean, it's sort of an old-fashioned thing. Like it, I mean, it's if you're a brick and mortar place, it's tough to compete with Amazon,
absolutely,
or Walmart or whatever.
But but Epic exists in a Epic Games and More, I guess is what we should call them. If they exist in a world where
I'm sure you could take various quotes out of this one and be like, oh. You supported Epic Games.
How about that? Yeah, let's make a hit video on him. It'll be about 4 minutes long. It'll be good. We'll also show the stuff about feet. That's important.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's far from the most embarrassing thing that's even in this episode of Checkpoint.
But just that idea of maybe this is the resurgence of the LVGS, right? Where it's like you might have a local brick and mortar retailer who is local to your area. And they're kind of eking out an existence with selling, plush Mario cubes and then maybe having some Magic the Gathering on the side and like kind of filling in those gaps for like entertainment, pop culture bullshit. But it isn't GameStop doing it. There might still be room for that.
Yeah. I mean, I know there that used to be. I feel like that used to be a much bigger thing where it was like, especially in like a small town or something. Yeah. It would be like. There'd be like the one, nerd stuff store.
Because when I
they have a captive audience for that, right?
But when I lived in Olds, Alberta for 3 years back in the early 2000s, because Heather was going to college there, we lived there, 7,000 people, serving in an rural area of 30,000 people overall, but 7,000 people lived in the city. It had an EB Games. Right? It's like they had a Walmart and a No Frills and the Canadian Tire and everything was out in the big box area, obviously. Downtown was kind of suffering as a result, but they had an EB Games as well. And you kind of have this sense of, I guess that's what exists. Like you buy a franchise, you get into the thing because you want to be part of the entire system. But if the umbrella is collapsing, then what does it matter if you're part of the larger system? The game stores in the metropolises that can survive will continue to survive because you'll also be able to buy like Hyperkin devices and stuff. You'll be able to buy all the emulating consoles and all the repro stuff is cool. You go to Epic Games and More and they have repro games. So it's like, hey, did you ever want to own Sailor Moon, Another Story, the Super Nintendo RPG, but translated into English? Well, we have that on a Super Nintendo cartridge because somebody dumped the ROM onto a cartridge. We put a nice sticker on it. Yeah.
What's that? There's a company that does those, that's big on doing those.
Yeah, right. It's like we do it in this way, and I'm like, that's... Like, I just saw Funko Pop show up in chat, and I'm kind of like, that's the kind of shit I think video gamers want more than they want Funko Pops. So... you're not going to see GameStop say, hey, we're going to sell you a Hyperkin console or we're going to sell you like an Analog Pocket, but these other stores will. They'll get that shit in and they'll sell it to you. It's for enthusiasts and people who love it. So, anyway.
Speaking of people who love things, it's also Kirby's 30th anniversary.
Yes.
And the note on this on the graphic that I put in,
the immediate first note on the story,
which is Beach saying, I'm gonna need like 5 pictures of Kirby with human feet. We'll put 1 at this point, which is at the beginning, and then 4 at the end.
Now I want to be clear that account actually says loading ready run, and there is a lower third that says Heather wrote this, prove that she didn't.
Right. So you're saying you have plausible deniability.
I might have thrown my wife under the bus on this one, but yes.
Now, normally, normally when Beej will he'll write a story and he'll spec a very specific image for it. He'll be like, I want, this poster of this thing. He'll usually like get that for me because he has like a image in his mind of exactly what it is.
And I need to save you time because it's like it took me 10 minutes to find it initially, and so I just want him to be able to grab it and put it up.
And so when you said I need 5 pictures of Kirby with human feet, I was like, what the hell?
How am I going to find that, Paul said?
Turns out if you type in Kirby with human feet into Google image search, there's a lot of... that's not a hard...
You can have safe search on, and it'll work just fine.
Yeah. They're very wholesome. It's just Kirby hanging out by the river.
Yeah,
and he's hot. Takes his shoes off.
Yeah,
I don't see what's not wholesome about that.
Exactly right. So, boy, did a lot of people have a problem with that.
The game, Kirby's Dream Buffet, looks pretty neat, actually.
I think it's a cool idea. Heather told me, she's like, it's kind of like Fall Guys, and I'm like, okay. And she's like, okay, but it's not that much like you're picturing Fall Guys. I'm like, okay. And then I watched the teaser. I'm like, this is cool.
It's like the one. It's like one of the things of Fall, like the sort of
Race to the end.
the race to the end part of Fall Guys, but it doesn't have so much of the like things smacking you in the face.
Now, as I understand from what Heather's been telling me, is that when you get to the top of the cake, then because the idea is you're trying to eat the most and become the biggest ball, right? So then but in order to, you also have to get to the top of the cake, and there'll be like a showdown between you and your friends, and you'll all fight each other in order to actually, and I have no idea how that works. I don't know if it's like Smash Brothers alike, or if it's like the Kirby's. There was a fighting game that was on the 3DS that was like
There was a Kirby fighting game?
There's been several Kirby games that have been released like this where they're free to play, but you can download like other things and like pay for other stuff to put in there. They have done this like 2 or 3 times where they've made these other Kirby games that they're just like, we're just gonna put these up for download, and they're free, and you can play them with your friends online if you want. It's really weird. It's it's Kirby Fighters or something like a Kirby Star Fighters or whatever it's called.
The idea that you go up to the top and then you do kind of like a sumo thing.
Yeah.
And
that would be fun.
There's like different, the different sides, depending on how big you are, you have an advantage of weight or whatever.
I don't know how they're going to make it work, but yeah.
The other thing that I thought was interesting about this, now maybe this is not actually a new thing, I just don't know enough about the Kirby lore, but this is the first time I've seen the like green, blue, yellow, other color Kirbys.
Yeah. I
thought pink was maybe just like the color that Kirby's species is, but apparently not.
So he in some games he splits off at the end of a level. He will split off into 2 other versions of himself, and they'll all do the dance together, and then that's the end of the thing. And I think that's where that started.
Is Kirby a species, or is Kirby the name of this particular?
Yeah,
creature?
Is he a gestalt entity? Is Kirby Legion is what we're asking, like, but there's different colors of Kirby for different situations, and we don't really know if they're supposed to, because apparently in Kirby's Epic Yarn, the blue Kirby, right, the prince, whatever his name was, there was this initial idea of like, well, we'll make this that, but it's like, no, it's more fun if he's like another character completely, if he's this prince and he lives in the whatever, and because it wasn't initially, I don't think, supposed to be a Kirby game when they were proposing it, but as they started to work on it, they're like, this could work really well as a Kirby game, and then they had this second character come in too. It's like, oh, it's a lot of fun to have this, I think they abandoned the prince to bring in Kirby, and they're like, no, put the prince back, we can have co-op, and they're like, great, that's even better. I don't quite remember the story, but yeah.
I like the idea that, like, similar to, say, the Pac-Man ghosts have the different names, or all of Bowser's children. Like, there's all the. I like the idea that there's like Kirby, and then there's like Edgar and Sven.
Yeah, they should have great names. Like Marcellus. Like they should have really excellent names that we haven't thought
Bogota. of. I don't know.
The Pac-Man ghosts are Inky, Blinky, Pinky, and Clyde. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they also have nicknames in the game too, like one of them's called Shadow and like that kind of stuff. But everyone just remembers Inky, Blinky, Pinky, and Clyde.
So yes, this story, I guess, was mostly an excuse for Beach to make me get pictures of Kirby feet.
It was an excuse for me to just kind of, because I was like,
if you look for Kirby human feet, the other there's Kirby with human feet.
Yeah.
But then there's the subcategory, which is tall Kirby with human feet. Like Kirby with human feet and legs.
Mm-hmm. It's real weird.
Which I think is worse.
If you search for Kirby Bayonetta, then you get that kind of thing where it's like he's sucked Bayonetta in Smash Brothers, and instead of getting like the cool haircut, he just gets her legs with the gun shoes. Which would also be fun, but yeah.
And then we were talking about the GameStop NFT thing. Well, there's also this Polium.
Oh, Christ. Yeah.
This silly console. To start with,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
at a base level, as somebody who used to make my living as a web designer and still does a lot of web development, I find Web 3 as a nomenclature extremely annoying.
Right.
Web 2.0 was annoying, but did make sense.
And we kind of worked through it as a society.
Yeah, like Web 2.0, it actually was a useful designation. Don't stop trying to make Web 3 a thing.
Yeah. So the Polium is a console that's supposed to let you play.
Polium.
Polium? Yeah, I like that.
Otherwise, it's too close to my name, and I don't like that.
Okay, so Polium it is, because also it sounds like polio, which is a disease nobody wants, and that we cured a while ago, and yet it was coming back. Anyway, the idea is this is an NFT console. This is a console where you can play Web3, maybe burping is the right thing to do when you say that. Web3 games that are embedded into the blockchain. It is a way for you to play those games on a console. It's a box and a controller.
One of the things I saw actually in the YouTube comments about this, referencing the this sort of like multilingual.
Yeah.
Right, which, as Graham rightly points out, isn't a thing.
No.
Or not. That's not a thing in the context of consoles. In the context, like what we normally would think about as consoles. Any of the major consoles, because you compile your whatever you make your game in, whatever engine, whatever system,
Interpreted language, or
it gets compiled into whatever the console uses.
Yeah. Now, if the console has an interpreter on board to read interpreted languages and turn that into code that it can understand, and then that's different too. But let's not nitpick.
But one of the things that I saw in the YouTube comments about this the checkpoint thing, which I think is probably is an accurate idea, is that why this console being multilingual is actually important is because they're assuming, probably rightly, that there will be no games made for this console.
Yes.
This console is it's basically like piggybacking on games that are being made for other things.
Yes. It's
either for PC or for whatever. So it's got to be able to run, whatever runtimes those other systems are using. We're probably looking at a lot of sort of web-based stuff.
Yeah, it's kind of like Valve's Steam Deck is ultimately a PC and a little thing, and as a console, it's like it should not have to care about what's gone on to make the game happen. It's just like, this is a game that is on Steam and that we've approved to run on the Steam Deck, and so that it runs the thing. So yeah, like nobody's making a game for the Steam Deck, right? Like
there's a good
are they now?
Well, Valve is optimizing games for Steam Deck.
Oh, okay. Well, then let's put that aside and not talk about that.
Obviously, talking about this console as if it is a real thing that will ever actually come out is largely pointless.
We're doing it a service by doing that, yeah.
But if it did ever actually come out, like from what it describes here, I think what we're talking about is it's a thing that runs a web browser.
Yeah, I could see that. Okay, that makes sense to me.
And so it's like it can run games that run in the web browser.
Yeah.
And like that's probably the extent of it if it actually becomes a thing.
And don't picture it as being like, oh, it'll be a console.
It'll be like a little set, like they're envisioning the thing that's like a little set-top box that basically boots up and can run a bunch of web stuff.
Because you can make a web page like running full screen. You can make it look like a lot of different things and operate in a lot of different ways. That doesn't have to be like, oh, there's a back button and a reload button and a tab bar across the. Yeah. It's not going to have a windowing manager type thing like that. It's going to basically be like this web browser is going to just look as like a full screen app, like it does on your phone.
Yeah. It's just like running on a Linux with a Chromium front end.
Yeah, and it'll have the reason it has a wallet button that is supposed to be a fingerprint reader, I guess, as well. I wasn't aware of that, but the reason it has that is so that it can connect to your wallet, so it can access your games. But you have to set up all your wallet information in there so that it knows how to, connect to those things. Obviously, that will be. I'm sure that won't be a rug pull, but
yeah, I do love that. I mean, it shows the kind of level of stuff that we're dealing with here, where in the white paper about it, one of the challenges that they think will be able to be overcome, but one of the challenges is that there aren't any. It's like, let's make a Web3 console, so people can play all the Web3 games. Like what? Well, there aren't any that anybody like right now. But the console is going to come out for 2 years. Ideally, at some point in those 2 years, somebody will come out with something good to do with it. And then, bam, we'll be right in there.
Yeah, and that's the thing that gets me, right, there's this idea of the, looking at the larger sense of this again, where it's like, you know, when you make a game, you have to have a platform by which to play it, right? And that goes back to like Donkey Kong or to Pong, right? Where it's like you target a machine that can play your game, and then you put that machine in an arcade somewhere, and then people put quarters into it and you make your money off of it. And it's like, anytime you make a game, you have to target the hardware. And so what they're saying is that, well, what if we had the hardware others could target? If we didn't have to go to the hard work of making that happen in the first place, if we had the hardware that others could target, then that could be cool. It's like, right, but your largest audience in a case like this is always going to be the PC or Mac or the web browser, right? That it's just like, you don't have people targeting the Polium. So instead you do like what you said. This will probably run a web browser, and we'll just have to hope that we can make everything run properly.
And I'll be like, look, it could, day one, it's got 10,000 games.
Yeah.
Because all the games that other people have made for other things also work on it.
But what has also happened when that has happened, when it's been like, oh, we've made a thing that can, like the Ouya did, right? We've made a thing that can play all these games. What if nobody wanted to go with that? What if nobody was like, I don't want to pay for that?
Yeah. It's
you're not solving the chicken and egg problem, right?
It's this thing where it's like, this is a situation where it would almost be better if it was a scam.
Because it would make a little more sense.
Well, it's just like, it's not going to come out.
Right.
But if it does,
it
will be terrible.
Yeah.
Like, it'll be worse than Ouya, which was not good.
Yeah.
So it's like, I'd kind of rather the world as a whole doesn't waste the resources on making this stupid thing a physical product.
Yes.
Like just whatever. If they're gonna, like, if the idea is to like do a thing and get a bunch of like pre-orders and then run away with it.
Yeah.
Sure. But don't actually like try to like waste a ton of resources actually making it into a thing that's still going to be incredibly disappointing.
Yeah. I mean, that's like, because I remember trying to build just a home theater PCs, and then eventually getting off on this tangent of, well, you buy an Intel Nuke or something, and then you're like, oh wait, actually you buy a B-Box, or you buy like a bunch of people making like small, very low power devices to hook up to your TV and run like Myth TV or Kodion or whatever, and then eventually along the way, it's like, I found a company that makes one and I used it for a while and like, this thing was pretty good. But then eventually I'm like, Apple TV. Like, I really just I threw my hands in the air. I'm like, the Apple TV works for me and I have the money to buy one, so I'm going to buy one. But yeah, there's that idea of like making a small box that can do this stuff. I bet you that's how this is going to turn out. It's going to be some Odroid hardware inside a little box. And they're going to be like, it does all the things we said it was going to do. Maybe not, but who cares? Because all we had to do is make a web browser to run on it. Like, it's going to run Linux. Well, yeah, of course it's going to run Linux. That's what you're going to use to make this thing because it's free. Anyway.
And then the final story we were talking about was the naive angel mode.
Yeah.
I don't know about the title behind it, but I appreciate the idea.
Yeah.
This idea, of making a mode in Bayonetta that is a little less
risque.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like it's still not going to be something like as you say in the story. It's there's a lot of stuff in Bayonetta that would be considered risque that doesn't involve
Yeah.
people taking their clothes off.
And even if the other thing I didn't, like I pulled words out of the story because I'm like, I want to make a point and I don't want to have this other thing in there. But the thing that I left out was two other words: incredible violence. Because Bayonetta has always been an incredibly violent game, regardless of whether they're BDSM moves or not.
I mean, like Bayonetta is at the like sort of over the top violence.
That's
point,
platinum for you, right?
Where it's like not even, it has no relationship with like reality.
Exactly,
right?
yeah. And that idea of I'm like, even if you can play this, even if they turned off all the BDSM style moves or whatever, even if it's like there's going to be no nudity, there's nothing about like her hair is like a weapon and stuff, but it has nothing to do with her clothing. Like if you get rid of kind of all the elements that are fun about Bayonetta, like interesting, I think, playing an incredibly violent game in front of your parents will also depend on how cool your parents are to watching you play an incredibly violent game.
Yeah.
And ultimately, I'm like, this eliminates one of the hang-ups that you're, an authority figure. Because I'm like, to me, I'm like, the only other reason, if authority figure, playing in front of authority figure is a reason why this would be an issue. The only other reason would be if casual nudity makes you uncomfortable.
Right.
Right?
But, and the interesting thing is from a rating standpoint, this mode doesn't change anything.
Right, it wouldn't because it's an optional mode.
Right, and so that's interesting. Like it's not like we're doing this so we can drop it from an M rating or something.
Right,
because the things are rated on the worst possible.
Yeah, the thing you'll be able to see. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed the Bayonetta games. I played the first one a fair amount. I haven't played the second one that much, but we did it on both of them on Unskippable.
Nice.
And
so those will come out eventually on the video game channel. You'll be able to watch them.
And I've seen, and just the ridiculous over the topness of like it's like punch, kick, open a portal to an alternate dimension, and a giant leg comes out and kicks them. Like,
yeah,
I appreciate that kind of like that's ridiculousness.
Yeah. It's very inventive, and it's fun to see those things happen. Yeah,
and I admit there's a certain amount of admiration at the creativity in camera angles for how they do stuff. Or it's like the brilliant. Now I think Bayonetta 2 is set up a little differently.
Okay,
but Bayonetta 1, because the whole for Bayonetta 1 at least, the whole premise is that like her clothes are all her hair as well.
Yeah.
And so like the longer your combo goes on, the more
the clothes
her
disappear.
Hair is fighting and stuff, right?
Yeah.
And so like there's all this idea that maybe if my combo goes on long enough, I'll get there.
Yeah.
But of course you never will.
Yeah, which is also in itself definitely a reason why the game is designed the way that it is, right? That it's like it's designed to be a titillating game. It's like the lovely thing about Bayonetta is that everything it is written right on the cover. Like it's like everything about it. There's nothing hidden about the game that's trying to be like, oh, we want to give you a sense that it's like no. It's all right out there for you to understand what it is. It doesn't try to pretend to be something that it isn't. It just is what it is, and you can be like, good. I either like that or I don't like that.
I know that there's a lot of people see Bayonetta as a very positive figure too. In terms of sort of being a kind of no nonsense kind of owning her own
it's
sexuality.
Like, I get that, especially the posing and the dancing and the stuff and all that kind of stuff. It's like that wasn't put in by accident. That wasn't like emergent gameplay or anything. It's like all of that was part of designing a character who's supposed to be like that. And I think what also helps that too is when you find out that it's like, right, both men and women were involved with the design of this character and the design of all the things that go into making Bayonetta the way it is. It's like
Bayonetta was actually, was designed by a woman.
Yeah.
Originally. Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's like all of that, you just have to be like, everyone seems to be completely comfortable with this being a thing because they're like, we love to see, it's like Shantae for Way Forward, right? It's like, So we draw her sexy. It's like, why? It's because we want her to be sexy. It's fun that she's sexy, right? And every time we draw her, she's a different form of sexy. And
I mean, I will like it was funny. Like I remember it be like when Bayonetta 2 was like a Wii exclusive.
yeah,
Everyone was like, "Oh, interesting.
is this what's happening on Nintendo?
This is Nintendo's new idea."
But Platinum games for me do not register. Like I have the Wonderful 101, and I played my damned hardest. I finally got past like the first world of it, and then put it down and be like, never again.
I mean, like Wonderful 101 isn't really their kind of like their bread and butter stuff. Is the like because they did the Ninja Gaiden stuff.
Yeah.
Like that. So stuff like Bandit, that sort of really fast 3D action stuff.
Yeah.
Is more like because Wonderful 101 is the
you lead around a bunch of people, and then you can, as you get more and more people, you can actually do more powerful moves and stuff like that. And I liked the aesthetic of it, and I liked the look of it. But as I was playing it, I'm like, if this combo system and the way that you have to execute stuff was not really my jam, and it just kind of feels like when I saw Bayonetta, I'm like, this is everything aesthetically about this. I think is a lot of fun. But I don't think the game is my jam because I don't think I want to be doing all the fighting and the big combos and whatever. And it always feels weird for me to be like, I will always stick up for Bayonetta, but you cannot make me play the game.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Right? Lots of games can exist that I don't want to play.
Yeah.
And the and you know what? And so this like naive angel mode, as so obviously as we said, I feel like it might not make that much difference in terms of acceptability.
Yeah, parental acceptance.
But you know what? If it makes a difference for your particular situation, that allows more people to play the game, or more people feel comfortable playing the game, then I mean, maybe it will work better for like Twitch streaming or something.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good point, actually, too. Yeah. Think of it as an accessibility option as well.
It's like the Christmas sweater mode
for Lady Killer in a Bind. Yeah.
And actually, Bayonetta. I know I haven't actually seen if they've talked about whether they've done this, but Bayonetta 2 had a really cool accessibility thing where they had one button mode.
Right.
Which was really cool. Like that is sort of a extreme accessibility thing where you could play the game and basically you just move.
Right.
And if you go towards a guy, you attack him.
Okay.
And it just automatically does combos and everything for you.
Neat.
It was sort of an extreme accessibility thing that was just like, and as we always talk about with this, it doesn't make it so you can't play it in the normal way.
Yeah.
And it is an combo heavy kind of game. But it was a super neat addition. I hope they do that in
3.
In 3 as well.
Yeah.
And then in the so we're talking about the rest of this story.
Mm-hmm.
When I was getting images for this, I wanted to illustrate what you were talking about without illustrating what you were talking about. So I was, because as like if I feel like if I like, for one thing, I probably won't find like image of child suspicious of parents' BDSM activity is probably not like clip art. I'm gonna like clip art. I'm gonna find. Who knows? Maybe that's on
iStock photo.
iStock photo now.
Yeah.
But so I like the idea of just it was just I think the image was just like skeptical child.
It was a good pick, yeah.
And then I was thinking, for the last bits, it ended up with the
Bowser and Bowser
the
Jr.
Bowser, because there's the whole series of like Bowser and Bowser Jr. For the parental controls of the Switch. They did that whole ad campaign, and then I was thinking like when you were talking about like the awkwardness of like talking about Switch and then your parents laugh. I was thinking that because there's all these like very wholesome pictures of like families playing the Switch.
Yeah.
I was like, would that be? Is that too much to put that?
Yeah, is that maybe not quite the thing? So some people had a problem with me being like, you wouldn't share a Switch beads. I mean, like you might like. There's this idea of like, you know, maybe the verse or whatever. And it's like, oh god, it's a joke. It's a play on words for a reason. Let me have the dumb joke.
My favorite thing is there was at least one, if not a couple of people in the comments that are like, somebody was like, the comments is saying, I just realized that there's the apartment that I used to live in. An old couple who lived in there before me, and I just realized that in my bedroom there were these two big eye bolts in the ceiling that I didn't know what they were for, and I'm just realizing that was probably what it was.
Yeah.
So if this story has opened your eyes and given you any revelations about things you might have just brushed off before, you are welcome.
Yeah. Oh my god. Good for them, keeping it spicy in the golden years.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then finally, Pusheen and the Super Pusheenacorn.
I had to do it a couple times too. Yeah.
For in Fall Guys.
Yeah.
Not the first, and certainly won't be the last silly Fall Guys outfit. This one, I feel like, of the various ridiculous Fall Guys outfits, this one, like the Fall Guys is actually relatively the same shape as Pusheen.
Yeah.
Like, it's a lot better than like the Sonic one.
Yeah.
That one just does not look good. Like weird round fat Sonic is not cool. But this definitely just looks like this. If you were the body shape of a Fall Guy, with sort of cylindrical, then Pusheen would be a great Halloween costume.
Absolutely, yeah. I do like how it's split into a top and a bottom. Like it's got a seam across the middle, so it's like you clearly they put it on as two pieces.
Well, that's all Fall Guy outfits have the seam.
Yeah,
which makes ones that like look like, you know, animals, look like things that should not have seams in the middle of the extremely disturbing.
I just thought that was terrifying that they hollowed out the Pusheen, but it was like, it's coming up. It's
because you could then combine them. You could combine it without, like, you could have like the lower half of Pusheen and the upper half of Sonic or something.
Oh yeah,
if you wanted to start getting really bad.
Yes.
Let's talk about some there's just a couple of little stories that we didn't talk about on the actual show. Hurdle.
Oh yeah.
Which is Wordle, but for music.
Yeah, HEARD. Hurdle.
Which, to be honest, I did not know existed, but apparently is quite popular.
Yeah.
And when I say it's Wordle but music, it's really not at all.
No.
But it is. It plays you a little teeny weeny bit of a song, and you have to guess what song it is.
Yeah.
And then it like plays you progressively more of the song. You guess what song.
Yeah.
So it's not really anything to do with Wordle when it comes right down to it. I think they're mostly just using that as the marketing thing. Anyway, it's been bought by Spotify.
Spotify
has bought the game Hurdle.
Good, because I thought I read it as Shopify at one point. I'm like, why? Why did they buy it? But no, it's Spotify, yeah.
And then rebranded it as like a Spotify thing.
Yeah.
And
used to use SoundCloud, by the way.
Used to use SoundCloud.
Yeah.
So what's interesting about that is, one, it means that they have access to a much larger library of mainstream artists.
Yeah.
As opposed to, SoundCloud. I mean, obviously there's lots of people on SoundCloud, but unfortunately, the downside is, at the moment anyway, once they switched over to Spotify, it restricted the places where work, like
Right.
only certain countries.
Yeah, English-speaking countries, in
Yeah.
fact, yeah.
They've said that they're going to open it up to more, but people. So that was kind of annoying.
Yeah.
But the to me the more interesting aspect of this is the reason why, like, Spotify didn't buy this because they want to get a bunch of money from people playing Hurdle,
Right.
but they realized, I think rightly, that Hurdle, a game in which you listen to music and then try to like guess, is an excellent, basically, like, music finding, like, a way to expose yourself to songs that you might not otherwise have heard,
Yeah.
which is, of course, what Spotify wants to do. You know, Spotify wants you to be listening to as much music as possible, and is always wanting to figure out new ways to get people to listen to, music of all different types.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, this seems like kind of a neat synergy thing.
It's as good a match as if Apple decided they want to release a kind of music type thing as well, or if Sirius wanted to, like Sirius XM decided they want to do a kind of thing like that, I guess, too, depending on what they have access to, in their own thing. But yeah, I think Spotify's a really good match for a game like that. They probably didn't even really need to buy Hurdle, but I think the idea was, we know there's enough people playing it, so we'll pay for it so that we let everybody know we're doing this thing.
Like Wordle,
Yeah.
the game itself is not actually that impressive.
Yeah.
But it's the implementation and the existing user base.
Exactly.
That is the sort of interesting part to them.
Yeah. Though funny that they brought in a user base and then said, also, we're cutting everybody else off if you don't speak English. Ooh, that's got to be tough when you realize, oh, we can't do this for everybody yet. But then I guess the other little wrinkle of it too is that if you, regardless of whether you get the answer right or not, you get to listen to the entire song on Spotify,
right.
Which apparently was not something you could do when it was on SoundCloud. It was like, if you don't get the answer, just like, we're gonna tell you what it is, or we won't tell you what it is, or whatever. But you don't get to hear the music and be like, I'd be like, no, come on, I want to know what song this is now. Like,
well, but yeah, that otherwise you have to be punished.
Yeah.
For not getting it.
Yeah.
Said you get 30 seconds.
Speaking of not getting things in certain countries.
Yeah. So coming up, the Kingdom, or the Super Mario and Rabbids
Kingdom Battle
2,
Sparks of something or other.
Sparks of Hope or
Sure.
something.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's coming out soon.
Mm-hmm.
But in the meantime, there's another Rabbids game.
What?
Because of course, before they were involved with Mario, the Rabbids they did all sorts of party tape games.
Right.
And so there's a game that what I find interesting about this is, so there's this game coming out called Rabbids Party of Legends, which was originally a China exclusive.
Oh.
And what's interesting is it's like a party game. It seems to be sort of it's like Mario Party-esque party game, although I don't know if there's actually like a board game part. I think it's just the mini game part.
Let's just play mini games. Okay. Yeah.
But because it was a China exclusive, it's like themed after the
Romance
Journey
of Three
to
Kingdoms?
Journey to the West.
Okay, cool. Because it's going to be one of those two things.
Yeah. Because like everything in China, every myth in China is somehow related to Journey to the West.
Yeah.
So like you have Monkey King, Tripitaka, Pigsy, except they're like rabbidified.
Yeah.
Which is very odd. Here, let me switch over to
Share the pictures.
where's the
Close up.
Yeah, where's the pictures? You can see them a little bit there.
Oh yeah.
If it's, I thought it was. I thought there was a better picture.
If you scroll up to the very top, seeing the banner kind of helps a bit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's
So
the
that's
Monkey King.
the Monkey King one.
Yeah.
It's very. It just seems. It it seems weird to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was interesting that it was like, it can't just be like Rabbids doing mini games.
Right.
It's got this like weird extra other little twist.
When did this
it.
come out in China? Does it say?
Because
Because it's for the Switch. But I'm wondering also if it was a port or anything as well. If it like came off of like the Wii or the Wii U or something like that. If this is like a very old game, or if this came out around the same time that, because it's also Rabbids, right? Which means it is Ubisoft ultimately.
Yeah, Ubisoft Chengdu.
Oh, okay.
One of the Kerbillion Ubisoft
Yeah.
sub places. If you just if you say Ubisoft and then a city, I will believe you
Oh yeah, that's fair.
that
Yeah.
that's a city.
Yeah.
That's an Ubisoft studio.
Ubisoft Hans Island.
Yeah.
It's a Denmark co-production facility.
Anyway, so it is couch co-op only,
Oh,
not online.
interesting. Okay,
Up to 4 players, and everything is played with single Joy-Cons.
right. Okay.
So, Ubisoft Agrabah, yeah. Ubisoft Antarctica, yeah. Yeah, Ubisoft Antarctic Research Station. It's just like one guy.
Yeah.
He does good work though.
Is it McMaster? Is that the name of the? What's the name?
McMurdo, I think.
Is that's the one? Okay. All right, like there, Ubisoft Medicine Hat. Excellent.
Ubisoft Spasm. I mean, there's Ubisoft, like Ubisoft Vancouver is a thing.
Yeah. Ubisoft Burnaby would actually be kind of, if they had gone with that. I have no idea where they actually are, but if they were in Burnaby, that'd be kind of funny. Ubisoft Chilliwack.
Do you want a little teeny weeny arcade game?
Like those ones that are like stand about this tall that the children can play like in front of a store.
A little bit smaller than that. A little bit smaller than that.
How much smaller can you make a?
Well, you know those arcade games where it's actually just like a frame and you put like an iPad in there for like the screen.
Like it goes on my table.
That's also too big. There is
Because Sega made the Astro City Mini, Paul, and it was about this big. So
this is a start. Now, I will admit this is not actually something that just came out.
okay.
But it's something that I just found out that they exist, and I'm fascinated by it. Again, because of an article in Ars Technica. Miniature arcade cabinets. One of the companies making is called Arcade One Up. They are like they're like that big.
Have you ever? They're like maybe this big. Do you know what a normal ass bottle of 500 millimeter Coke looks like? Boom,
Yeah.
there you go. All right, that is a 500, right? That's not a 710.
And 20-ounce bottle of soda.
They're repros though, Mike. They're not all the same.
So to be clear though,
yeah.
this is for one thing, they cost like $150
For one game.
for the whole.
Yeah.
So this is not a model of an arcade cabinet.
No.
This is all the decals and everything are like taken from the original sources.
Sure. Yeah.
And done all the appliques, all the different things. It works. The screen, like the little 2-inch screen, where all the little buttons and you play it.
Joystick.
You play it with the little teeny weeny joystick and the
my
little
God.
teeny weeny buttons.
I feel like you'd snap that joystick. Okay, but
It
whatever.
works.
Wow. Oh my God.
In fact, the so this is the 1942 and the Qbert one. I believe 1942 also comes arcade cabinet also comes with
1943.
1943. Yeah, 1940 also comes with 1943.
That's cool.
I think it's the 1942 one. Also has a second player controller. Yeah,
Perfect.
because it's a 2-player thing, so you need the
Yes.
second player controller.
Yes.
It is still tiny. It
My
is a little tiny second player
God.
controller.
Woof.
It is for Stuart Little.
Yeah.
That is the ideal person for this. Anyway, the fact that they, yeah, you can all there. So it also has an HDMI port.
Yeah.
You can connect your TV and USB ports that you can connect proper controllers
Yes.
to if you
okay.
want to.
Yeah.
But what's important is that you don't have to.
Right.
It's got the fact that it's got like a real screen and a real controllers and everything. Just like there's we did a, I think we talked about it on previous Checkpoint about there's the new Sega
Astro City Mini.
the little mini one,
Yeah.
that's gonna have the Sega CD add-on.
Oh, the Mega Drive Mini, yeah.
The Mega Drive Mini.
Mini 2 or whatever they call it. Yeah.
and you can get because it has Sega CD games loaded onto it.
Probably not Desert Bus though.
No, definitely not Desert Bus.
Too bad.
And you can get a Sega CD add-on
Yeah.
for it.
It sits in the thing.
But it sits in the thing and has like a little disc in it. But it's purely cosmetic.
Yeah.
It's just a little thing you can put onto it. The thing is actually, there's just like a little flash thing inside that's got all the games on it. Right. You can't, like, it's just a box that you plug into your TV and it's the thing.
Yeah.
This is actually real.
Yeah.
This would be if that mini system played like mini discs.
Yeah, like you
in order to do your thing.
And you needed like a toothpick to like turn the thing on and off and to like like oh my god.
I mean, yeah, I've seen keychain arcade games and all that stuff too, but
Yeah.
I don't know, something about this. And the fact that it's like a premium product for like $150.
Yeah.
and it's like a collector thing.
Yes.
that it's like they're made like it's like metal parts and
Yeah, because I'm like
solid.
the joystick would have to be like you need to be able to if you're gonna play the game, it's like I need this thing to not snap off like a twig the moment I try to like go left and right on doing anything, or I'm playing Qbert and I'm like shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's what I love the reproduction miniature stuff when they go all out. And I really did like the Sega Astro City arcade is such an iconic thing if you're familiar with if you've ever read manga or watched anime from the 90s. It's like all of that stuff is you've seen that and you're like yeah, and it kind of feels really good to see a sea of identical arcade cabinets. The only difference has like just the little thing on the front or whatever. It's like there's just something about it that just really feels like it feels so real, future kind of, because walking into arcades when I was young here in...
I pushed the wrong button.
Yeah, walking into arcades in Canada when I was young was like, they're a little dark, and all the games are all different with all the different graphics on the sides, but they were all different. They never really felt like cohesive, especially when you had like different sized ones for different things. It was like all over the place, but seeing all of them really satisfies a kind of OCD that I don't actually have, where they're all identical machines, but they all have different games. And it's like, that feels really good to look at, though. This sea of just white plastic. And
now I want like a little teeny weeny arcade that's just full of these little
right,
things.
surrounding you.
And just like dozens of people like crouched down,
putting their little tiny like slivers of aluminum coins on the thing, being like, I've got next. It's like, right, okay, cool.
Sorry about that. That showing the like thank you for 0 bits thing. I pushed the wrong button. I don't think, and that's not even true.
Yeah.
Because people have given bits, but I didn't set it to calculate how many bits, so it just had the default amount. I apologize for that. I was not trying to shame you.
Yeah. I feel like the next the one of the big things, if we ever did another project for something to come into the moon base, we'd have to have space for it. What would it be like? It would be a sit-down cocktail main cabinet. I feel like that would be the thing to do. Be like, well, if you're gonna have a video game console in a company like this or whatever, it's like we have to have a living room cocktail cabinet type thing. We can't have a stand-up arcade game. That would be stupid. But we would like a little thing you can play like Arkanoid and stuff on. I feel like that would be the step we would do. Like,
we would definitely like end up playing Magic on
on top of the
on top
glass.
of it,
Yeah, probably.
So everybody, that's all the news that was worth talking about. There's a story that I was looking at on about the PlayStation. Sony has doing like a new loyalty program.
Oh yeah.
Which it's not that exciting, and it's like they're doing a thing where it's like, hey, you if you do, it's like if you it's a lot like the Nintendo one. Like it's like there's a bunch of, like, they set certain goals. So you've got, like, they already have like trophies and stuff,
Right.
and so they've got goals where it's like, if you get a bunch of these trophies, then you'll get some cool PlayStation stars.
Okay.
And then you can use those stars to, and people, everybody around the internet, because one of the things they're like, and you can use those stars to get one-of-a-kind digital products. And everyone was like, no, what are you doing? What are you doing, Sony? What are you doing? Turns out,
Yeah.
it's okay. It's not NFTs.
Great. Glad to hear it.
It's not NFTs. They've been they came down. They are digital representations of things PlayStation fans enjoy: figurines, iconic characters, other forms of entertainment, as well as cherished devices. They will always be a new collectible to learn and an ultra collectible to strive for, something surprising to collect just for fun. But they have clarified these digital collectibles were created just for our loyalty program, and while some can be rare, they are not one of a kind. And PlayStation Stars does not leverage blockchain technology.
I had to come out and say that specifically. How about that? So you get to have a cool
They're just
digital representation of a thing.
they're just little tchotchke things.
Yeah.
Like
a desktop toy, maybe? You can put them on your computer screen. You can spin them around.
Or your
On the PlayStation?
Your PlayStation. Yeah, probably random stuff. So
Cool.
the idea of sort of adding an extra level, because they've already got like trophies and PlayStation points.
Yeah.
Like you get trophies and accumulate points and stuff, which are meaningless. But then there's like this, but it's like, not only can you get trophies, but if you get like these specific, like get these trophies or do these things in the games, then you get this other thing, which is slightly less meaningless in the sense that it's still mostly meaningless, but like you do get some stuff.
Yeah. They're not points. It's their thing now, but yeah.
But anyway, so that story is basically that it's not like, it looked like it could be bad, but it turns out it's not. So
Yeah.
it's fine.
That's good.
Which is kind of a positive story, actually,
Yeah.
these days in the video game world.
And see how that shakes out. I mean, Nintendo's My Nintendo whole thing of earning points and doing whatever has been a bit of a pain, but they've pivoted to doing more physical products, but it is like, it's rare, but then at the same time, it's also been hard to come by making physical product because of all those supply chain issues. But they didn't start with a bunch, but they're actually coming out with more of that kind of stuff now. And I'm like, well, that's something at least. But yeah, it needs to get a lot better than it has been.
So let's talk about what's coming up next.
Great.
What's coming up tonight in about an hour and a half is Friday Night Paper Fight. We're going to be doing the digital paper today, going into the Gladiator. Lots of fun on Magic Arena. And then tomorrow, it is Tabletop Day. We're going to be playing Hero Quest. Going to be playing Ticket to Ride, Wingspan, Dungeon Mayhem. Lots of fun stuff starting at 10 a.m. going all day. Because we were like, hey, when is Tabletop Day this year? And then we were like, wait.
Nobody.
We can just do it whenever we want.
Yeah.
There is no like.
There's no overseeing authority that gets to decide when Tabletop Day is internationally.
5 years ago or so,
Yeah.
I think Geek and Sundry like tried to make it a thing on a specific day, but they've lost control of it.
Yeah.
And you know what? We can make Tabletop Day whatever day we want.
Yeah. Observed Canada. Here we go. This is when it's going to happen now. So.
And it might not be the same day next year. It probably won't be, in fact.
It'll be like Easter.
And then on Sunday, it's poppin' music. Best hits. This is the game that they were going to do last year, last week. Instead, Ian did VR stuff.
That's right, he did.
So that should be super cool. And then, is this your card? Shadowverse.
Hope he's enjoying that.
Yeah, apparently it is very anime.
Yes. Oh, Jesus, I saw the... Excuse me. I saw the highlights. I was like, wow, cool. There it is.
And then on Can't Draw Horses Club, Corey is going to be doing some art that may or may not involve horses. I think she said something about doing space station, like drawing space stations.
Oh, cool.
So that sounds really cool, yeah.
Like Commander Mark.
And then Jackbox Party Pack on Crossing the Streams.
Nice.
Everybody likes doing little Jackbox.
Absolutely.
And if you don't, well, there's lots of other streams. But you should, because it's awesome. So, lots of cool stuff coming up. LoadingReadyRun.com/live is the place to go to see the full schedule. And as a reminder, if you want to see the replays of any of that stuff or a bunch of the new stuff that we're doing, the YouTube channel split has just happened. And so this show and Checkpoint and various other video game stuff, including episodes of Unskippable and what we're calling express edits of some of our streams, where we're editing a full VOD down to half an hour or 20 minutes or something. That's all going to be going up on the YouTube VG or youtube.com/LRRVG channel, the Lure Video Games channel. And then we're also the tabletop channel, LRRTT, where we are all the AFK stuff, all the
long games, Dice
Friends, and also we're going to be doing box openings and a few other cool fun things there.
Yeah, so check out the first episode of Back in the Box so you can see how that's going to go. And yeah, and then eventually a new season of Not a Drop to Drink is going to land at some point. So yeah, be pleased about that. I know the players are.
So, lots of cool stuff coming up. Now, let's thank the awesome people who subscribed during this stream, subscribed or gave bits, or didn't. You're still awesome. But these people are certified awesome people. Bronzefinger for 98 months. Thank you very much.
Sethalidos for 22 months. Welcome back.
Raziak for the full 100 months.
Got that century.
Yeah, a century of months.
7 on for 40 months. Welcome back to you.
And the Magical Attack Gecko, 103.
They're going so fast, Paul. I'm going to skip some. Arare, or A Rare Bread, for 2 months. You came back. Thank you, A Rare Bread. Appreciate that.
Jamsy and Jam for 67 months.
Unbound Laconicness for 101 months.
Saber Pilot for 29 months.
Zebedee Doo for 8 months. Welcome back.
Saga Monstrum for 5 months.
Ark of the Conclave for 49 months. That's a square.
Why, Dustin? Been here for a whole year.
And Flip, congrats in your 107 months.
Ooh.
Thanks to all of our mods for helping to make this stuff happen too. We really appreciate it. And if you want to thank them, you can do it here, but you can also thank them in the Discord, discord.gg/LRR. And thank you for 200 bits. That's great too.
Thank you for bits. Thank you to Gap Filler there. Sneaking in with those bits. And to all awesome people who are doing all the things.
You can check out some of the more physical things we do. You don't have to give us points. It's nothing about collecting lure points in order to redeem them for merchandise on the store. You just have to pay money. So store.loadingreadyrun.com.
It's a system of points that what's great is you can use it in all different places.
Exactly. So why not check out and see if we have anything there. I did a shirt reorder. They're not ready yet. They're going to be ready next month. Like I say, supply chain issues. but we know that they are going to get made. So there will be shirt reorder stuff coming soon. If you're waiting on shirts and you see stuff in the store you want, maybe you want to wait until the shirts come too, but there you go. And you can also just back us on youtube.com/loadingreadyrun. That's the main channel. You can just drop like super thanks on videos and stuff. Apparently, It's super. I think it's really cool. But then also patreon.com/loadingreadyrun. We always appreciate your support. And there's so many of you, and that's hard to thank everybody individually, but man, you are all making a difference, and thank you for that.
All right. We will talk to all y'all later. Bye.